I needed to be with my kids. You meant it. And you're right, Kevin. There was always going to be bulletproof vests, hugs from holy men, tattoos to cover up. But I just did that to hide and deal with what I'd lost. I needed a way to get back to them. I knew there was a chance it would kill me, but I had come to peace with that. And so I said goodbye to my brother, and I jumped right in. I didn't change my mind, I went through. I was in a parking lot. Naked. Curled up like a baby. It was the same parking lot I'd been in before, but there were no trucks, no people, nothing. It was cold, so I started to walk. I walked by empty houses, abandoned buildings, and I found a store, and I went in and there were clothes in there, clothes on racks. And so I got dressed and I kept walking. I walked long enough to convince myself that I was the only thing alive. And then night came. And there were lights, so I went to them. It was a house. There was a man and a woman there. They were kind. And they told me, well, the man had told me that about 7 years earlier, he was in a grocery store and everyone disappeared except for him. And the woman, she lost her husband, her 3 daughters, and all 8 of her grandchildren. And then it all made sense to me. Over here, we had lost some of them, but over there, they lost all of us. And so I went and continued to do what I came there to do. I came to find my kids. Planes weren't really a thing over there. I mean, they had enough resources, but not enough pilots. So I took a boat. And there's not a boat that goes straight from Australia to New York, so it took a long time to get there. Long time. But I finally did. And I walked through Mapleton. I walked through where I grew up, where my father and mother had died. And Matt, where you and I met. All the houses were overgrown, but the street lamps still came on every single night, and for some reason that made me feel less stupid to assume that they would be there, that they would be there in the same place where I lost them. There. And I went and stayed across the street behind a tree because I was too scared to knock. After a while, the door opened. I didn't recognize him at first. There was a tall teenage boy with curly hair. And a girl, maybe 11. They were my children. And then my husband came out. With a woman. She was pretty. she was pretty, and they were all smiling. They were happy. And then I understood that here in this place, they were the lucky ones. In a world full of orphans, they had each other. And I was a ghost. I was a ghost who had no place there. And that, Kevin, is when I changed my mind. The psychics that sent me through the first-person machine, well, they told me that the first person who actually used that machine was the person who invented it. His name is Dr. Van Eeken. I'm pretty sure they were making fun of me, but then when they said, when I go through, that I should look him up, so I did. That took a long time too. But I found him and I asked him to make me another machine because he already knew how, and he just looked at me and he said, if you came all this way, why in God's name would you want to go back? And I told him that it's because I didn't belong there. So he built it. And I came back. I came here. Did I think about you? Did I want to call you? Did I want to be with you, Kevin? Of course I did. But so much time had passed and it was too late. And I knew that if I told you what happened, that you wouldn't believe me.